So today's podcast will be on facial neoplasms part 3. And let's begin with the dermoscopy features of solar lentigo. These include circles with areas of light brown and dark brown. This creates an annular pattern. Or fine lines, straight, slightly curved, long, short, parallel fingerprinting, creating a reticular pattern. In addition, the borders are well demarcated, often scalloped, and moth-eaten. Here we have such an example of a lentigo. One can see these fine lines, slightly curved, as well as the scallop borders. In this case, a similar pattern where we have fine lines and fine straight lines slightly curved. In this case, you can see the scallop borders as well as the sharp demarcation of the borders. In this case, we have fine lines encompassing the follicular openings. We have as well some sharp borders as well as some scalloping at the periphery. In this case, a different type of pattern. Instead of a reticular pattern, it's an annular pattern. This is a lesion on the lip, a labial lentigo, where we see this fingerprint-like parallel pattern. Seborrheic keratoses, there is no difference in the dermatoscopic features of seborrheic keratosis on the face as compared to other anatomical sites. We have sharply demarcated or scalloped borders, milli-like cysts, the white oval structures, the comedone-like openings, the keratin-filled oval structures, the fissures, the linear keratin-filled brown structures, the ridges, the raised projected areas, the twisted loop or hairpin vessels, and fine vessels surrounded by a halo. So in this case, we see with the non-polarized light, the ridges and fissures, and the near ultraviolet light, we can see the prominent ridges. Another case where we see the near ultraviolet light, the ridges, and then with the near ultraviolet light with the structural enhancer, we see these beautiful ridges and fissures. In this case, we see the ridges in the non-polarized mode, as well as the ridges in near ultraviolet light. In this case, we see an annular pattern with thick lines. We can see with the structural enhancer the ridges, and the near ultraviolet light, we see the structural enhancer as well, showing you these ridges. In this case, this inflamed seborrheic keratosis, note the twisted loop vessels and the sharp borders. This is dramatically seen in the near ultraviolet light, and the near ultraviolet light with the vascular enhancer as well as the structural enhancer. Here we see with the seborrheic keratosis the structural enhancer, the comedone-like openings, and the milli-like cysts, as well as the sharp borders. The features of lichen planus-like keratosis include the following: a diffuse granular pattern characterized by gray-brown dots and granules, diffuse gray-brown dots and granules with scattered clumps of pigment, a localized granular pattern with remnants of the dermoscopy features of a lentigo or seborrheic keratosis, and finally, the borders are well demarcated, often scalloped and moth-eaten. So here we have this subtle lesion on the cheek, and one sees the diffuse gray-brown dots and granules. In this case, a slightly different pattern, dermoscopically characterized by gray dots, granules, diffuse, and clumps of pigment. And in this case, we see this localized granular pattern with remnants of the dermoscopy features of a seborrheic keratosis. And here one sees the seborrheic keratosis component with these ridges and fissures. The features of melanoma on sun-damaged skin include slate gray to brown gray dots granules, brown gray pigmented follicular openings, rhomboidal structures, circle within a circle, irregular perifollicular hyperpigmentation, dark structureless areas obscuring the follicular openings, white shiny structures only seen with polarized light, a blue-white veil, and perifollicular linear extensions. Here we have the subtle melanoma on the nose. Dermoscopically, we see circles with a gray peripheral rim. We have angulated lines forming rhomboids. We have perifollicular linear extensions and irregular perifollicular extension. In this case, very subtle lesion. We see the circles with the gray peripheral rim, some angulated lines, and gray-brown dots and granules. And in this particular case, we see circles with a gray peripheral rim, as well as the gray-brown dots and granules.